What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing race picks for the 2023 ToyotaCare 250. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. This week in the NASCAR Xfinity Series is racing at Richmond, racing at 0.57 mile track, 3/4 mile track, which would be another short track on the NASCAR Xfinity Series schedule. Expected to be pretty exciting and some great strategy along the way as well. The last time we raced here for the spring race, we saw a great battle between Ty Gibbs and John Hunter Nemechek, with Ty Gibbs moving John Hunter Nemechek up the racetrack to get another victory in the 2022 season. He will not be racing, though, because he'll be racing in the Cup Series race later that week on Sunday. So now, let's jump into picks. Before we go ahead and jump into picks, let's take a look at the weather for this weekend. So weather for this weekend at Richmond is looking a little bit concerning. It's going to be 78 degrees the high. We're right now 43 degrees the low. But right now there is a 50% chance of showers. It's basically scattered showers throughout the day. Don't get me wrong, there's still a chance for the weather to change, but there could be some weather this weekend at Richmond Raceway. That's one thing to keep an eye on this weekend at Richmond Raceway. So now, let's jump into picks. For those who are new to the channel, here's how picks work on the channel. I do 2 suck picks for the Xfinity Series, 2 drivers I expect to struggle, 2 underdog picks, 2 drivers expect on really well and under fun equipment or have a great run, and then I do my winner's pick, driver I think is going to win, and then I do the ones you need to watch out for at the racetrack, and I got 4 drivers you need to watch out for alongside the winner of the race. So now, let's officially jump into picks. Who are my suck picks for this weekend at Richmond Raceway? My first suck pick for this weekend is a driver who's been kind of hit or miss start 2023 season and has struggled in the Joe Gibbs Racing car and has probably been the worst performer in the 19 car so far this season in the 19. I'm talking about Joe Graf Jr. Joe Graf Jr. is back in the 19 car this weekend for Joe Gibbs Racing, and in both races that he's ran with Joe Gibbs Racing, he has been very atrocious and abysmal for the standards that he is expected to perform in. I don't think Joe Graf Jr. is the worst driver I've ever seen, but he is not a good driver, and if you cannot contend for a win in the 19 car, you shouldn't be in that car. We've seen Ryan Truex contend, we've seen Ty Gibbs contend, and we've seen Maya Snyder contend. Joe Graf Jr. has been the only driver that's got into that 19 car that has struggled. So I need to see better performances from Joe Graf Jr., and I don't think he's going to have a good run this weekend at Richmond. My other suck pick for this weekend is a driver who has had some decent speed throughout the year, but has had no good luck go his way. I'm talking about Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones has had no luck to start off 2023, and I knew it was going to be a little bit more difficult for him to go over to Junior Motorsports because he had been with Joe Gibbs Racing for basically 5 seasons or almost 6 seasons for that matter, and he had a lot more success over Joe Gibbs Racing, but I think eventually he'll get better. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. Brandon Jones had a terrible start to 2023, and I sadly believe that he's going to have a really bad run this weekend at Richmond. I think he's going to finish outside the top 15 and not have a good run at all this weekend at Richmond. And now we're going to go ahead and jump onto the underdog picks for this weekend at Richmond. Who are my underdog picks? My first underdog pick is a driver who always outperforms equipment and one of the most underrated drivers in the NASCAR garage in general, Kyle Weatherman. Kyle Weatherman is going to be driving the 96 car for FRS Racing this weekend, which, of course, is the old Brandon Brown Motorsports team. Basically, Colin Fern brought up a bunch of the Brandon Brown Motorsports stuff, and now we're going to see Kyle Weatherman make the team's will be attempting to make the team's first ever start in the Xfinity Series. I think Kyle Weatherman not only is going to make the show pretty easily, because I think the cars are going to be fast, but I think Kyle Weatherman is going to be contending for a top 10 or even a top 15. We're going to have ECR equipment and ECR engines, and I expect that you're going to see a really fast car for Kyle Weatherman this weekend. He always gets the best out of equipment. I've seen what he can do in underfund equipment, and I think that he will have a really strong run this weekend at Richmond. My other underdog pick for this weekend here at Richmond for the Xfinity Series is another driver who's making a debut for an organization and making his actual Xfinity Series debut, Derek Krause. Derek Krause this weekend will be driving the number 10 for Kaulig Racing. There have been rumors he was going to drive this car more frequently in 2023, but he'll make his debut this weekend. I think Derek Krause gets a lot of hate, in my opinion. It is overhated, and while we've seen Christian Eckes do way better than what Derek Krause ever did at Bill McAnally's organization and Trucks McAnally Hildeman, I really believe Derek Krause with the Kaulig Racing team will contend for a top 5 or even a top 10. We see how fast they could be, especially at Richmond. I think they're going to see Derek Krause have a very solid run and contend in some ways this weekend at Richmond. And now we're going to jump ahead and jump onto the winner's pick for this weekend at Richmond. Who is my winner's pick? My winner's pick is a driver who's been very good throughout the 2023 season, has finished in the top 10 in 5 of the 6 races, and has already won a race so far in the NASCAR Xfinity Series this season. I'm going with John Hunter Nemechek to get his second win in the Xfinity Series in 2023. John Hunter Nemechek, in my opinion, has been arguably one of the fastest drivers throughout 2023. And last year, Richmond, like I mentioned, he was one of the fastest cars in the field and led a lot of laps as well. I think John Hunter is going to get it done this weekend. I think that they're going to find a really good car for the 20 team, and I think that number 20 car will come across the finish line first, and I think he'll get his second win in 2023 and 100% be guaranteed to make the playoffs. So I don't think he was going to have an issue being guaranteed to make the playoffs, but I think John Hunter Nemechek will easily get a second win of 2023 this weekend at Richmond in the Xfinity Series. And now we'll go ahead and jump on to the ones you need to watch out for this weekend's Xfinity Series race at Richmond. Who are the drivers you should watch out for? The first driver you should watch out for is the current points leader in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and that is Austin Hill. Outside this past weekend at Circuit of the Americas, where he had some brake failures and some electrical issues, Austin Hill has been nonstop and the fastest driver all year long. Already 3 wins this year. I'm just not sure how they're going to be on the shorter oval tracks. Is one thing we'll worry about Rich Schultz Racing's Xfinity Series team. But then again, Austin was really fast at Phoenix. So I think that Austin Hill is going to have another great run. I think that Rich Schultz Racing is going to provide a really strong car for Austin Hill this weekend. I think he'll contend for a win this weekend and might even surprisingly get his 4th win of 2023. We'll have to wait and see what happens. A second driver you should watch out for this weekend is a driver who's had a very solid start to 2023 as well, and that is Chandler Smith in the 16 for Kaulig Racing. I think Chandler Smith is a very good driver, in my opinion, and Chandler Smith, of course, will also be making his NASCAR Cup Series debut this weekend at Richmond for Kaulig Racing. I really believe that Chandler Smith is going to be a contender for the win. We're going to track who's been really good, especially since the last time he raced here when he raced in the Truck Series, he actually ended up winning. So I think that Chandler Smith will be a contender. I think he's going to use that truck experience he's had at Richmond and really going to help him out. And I think Chandler Smith will be a contender for the win this weekend at Richmond Xfinity. The third driver you should watch out for this weekend's Xfinity Series race at Richmond is the driver of the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing, Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith, in my opinion, is probably one of the underdogs for the championship right now. Already got a win so far this year. That came at Phoenix, and it wouldn't surprise or shock me if he already gets the second win of the season. Joe Gibbs Racing historically is really good at Richmond Raceway. They're always up front, always contending, and you know that that's going to help a driver like Sammy Smith, who also has a lot of short track racing experience, and Richmond is a short track. So I think that's going to help Sammy Smith this weekend be somewhat of a contender, and I think Sammy Smith will have a very solid run this weekend at Richmond. And the fourth and final driver you should watch out for this weekend at Richmond is a driver of the 8 car for Junior Motorsports, Josh Berry. Josh Berry back in the Xfinity Series is actually, of course, being in the Cup Series this weekend at Richmond. But Josh Berry, I think, is absolutely going to be a contender. Josh Berry is always a threat, especially on the shorter oval tracks, and he's used to these shorter oval tracks, which I think is really going to help him out this weekend to have a fantastic and a great run. I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he's got a very good chance to get a top 5 this weekend, and I think he easily will be a contender for the overall win. Watch Josh Berry, because I think he's going to be the best performing Junior Motorsports car this weekend at Richmond. So, those are my race picks for this week's Xfinity Series race at Richmond. Just a reminder, my second picks are Joe Graf Jr., Brandon Jones. My underdog picks are Kyle Weatherman, Derek Krause. My winner's pick is John Hunter Nemechek. And my ones to watch are Austin Hill, Chandler Smith, Sammy Smith, and Josh Berry. Those are my race picks. So, that is going to be it for the race picks video for the NASCAR Xfinity Series race at Richmond. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on so if I win a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment below your thoughts below on today's video, and comment below your picks for this weekend's Xfinity Series race at Richmond. Let me know your suck picks, let me know your underdog picks, and let me know who you think is going to win this weekend at Richmond. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and let me know the ones you're watching out for this weekend at Richmond. Later tonight on the channel, we might be having another video on the channel. We might be talking about Daniel Suarez penalties, if he does receive any penalties. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have the NASCAR Cup Series news video with other content as well. And we got a lot of other content on the way as well coming out, including the race picks for the Cup Series on Thursday as well. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.